It's the holiday season. It's cold, and there's a whole lot of workers here that live in the parking lot that are homeless. That because we're in New York City, it's one of the most expensive cities in the country. They're not making enough to even afford to live, so they're sleeping in their cars outside here, and it's not a small number. I wanted to ask you about that because, again, the PR that Amazon puts out there, you get all these commercials that are rainbows and sunshines, and they're helping people through school, and it's wonderful being an Amazon worker. Well, there's a lot of people that are homeless Amazon workers.
Right. At last count, there were about over 100 cars in this outside parking lot and the inside parking lot, the covered multi-layer lot behind me. And they're there 24/7, including on the holidays, like on Christmas and New Year's Day when there aren't that many people here. They're here 24/7. And I feel for them. I'm one of them. So, we try to advocate, and I'm trying to hook up people with other people so that we can do roommate situations and share expenses and stuff. But the reality is that in New York and New Jersey, basically any of the surrounding states, you have to make over $70,000 just to be able to afford a one-bedroom apartment. And so, you can't do it. You can't do it without working 2 or 3 jobs in New York or working a ton of overtime in here. You have to max out at 60. You can't go over 60 hours. So that also plays into the fact that hourly workers, mostly black and brown employees, do not get promoted. They just don't get promoted. They're not given interviews. Everybody in there in these buildings plays favorites. You have to be a young white male fresh out of college in order to get into a management position here. And it creates a huge us versus them situation in there because a lot of those kids are very spoiled, very racist, very sexist, and they're constantly targeting some of the best employees that Amazon has in there. So what they say and what they do are 2 different things. And as far as those training courses saying that they're going to pay 95% or whatever of vocational training or college fund, any of that, it's all a lie because I've actually met people in there that have gone through some of their courses for IT training and computers. And they said that, they were promised that 95% of their tuition would be paid. But then at the end of the class, 3, 4, 5 months later, guess what? They get a bill in the mail. It's on them to pay that money. Amazon does not come through. So Amazon's willing to play dirty, make empty promises, do and say whatever they need to do. We're still being bombarded with propaganda everywhere. It's covered every inch in that building. And it's ridiculous. You don't say that you respect the workers and that we're one big family and one big happy team, but then you treat us with such a lack of respect and dignity that it's sad. It's really sad.
And
that's why we're here. That's why we're out here.
Not to get too personal, you don't have to talk about it, but you said you're one of them. So you're currently homeless working at Amazon?
Currently am, yeah. I have been homeless for the past, 2.5, almost 3 years that I've been here now. And I haven't been able to afford a place. None of my family's out here. I noticed a lot of people on the East Coast, a lot of them have basements in their homes, so there isn't really much of a roommate situation unless you're going to a university out here or you're over 55 and you can afford senior discount rents at some type of senior apartment. Otherwise, a lot of people get married straight out of the home or they move into their folks' basement. A lot of the families are really tight here on the East Coast, so it's been really, really tough. I go on Craigslist every single day. I've already filed for renter's assistance a few months back in Jersey and in New York, still on a waiting list for low-income housing. And the fact that I can make $20 an hour and still be considered for low-income housing it's mind-boggling because the rest of the country is thinking, well, she's making more than minimum wage. How come she can't afford a place to live? Well, it's because there's no affordable rent out here. And we don't make enough, and we don't get promoted. I've been with the company since 2017. I have an AA degree. I've trained literally hundreds of people since I've been in Jersey and New York, and I've applied over a dozen times for positions at the next level, Tier 3. I can't even get an interview. That's ridiculous. And for me to have to work for people half my age and answer to people half my age who have no experience here and really are really disrespectful to the workers, it's beyond frustrating, really beyond frustrating.
And you're basically saying that even though somebody like you, a woman, believe a minority, correct me if I'm wrong, Latino, thank you, has all these qualifications, they will not promote you or make you a manager, and they just have this pipeline of basically spoiled white dudes that they bring in here as managers.
Right. That's pretty much it. And when I think about that, and I know plenty of other women in there and other minorities that they've also applied, and they have a lot of job experience behind them. You have to remember that half the people in here are young kids. It's their first job, but the other half of the people in here are people that literally lost their careers in the recession in 2007, 2008. So we're talking there's people in here in their late 40s, early 50s, and sometimes older that literally have so many qualifications to be an amazing manager, and they already know the job, they know the departments, they know the workers. They literally could run circles around these other new managers that are being brought in, and yet they're not even being given a chance. So how do we promote, how do we elevate inside the company and have any potential to have any kind of long-standing career here if we can't even make it from a tier 1, which is the basic bottom level, to a tier 3 level?
And also, like, just from a human being perspective, I can't imagine working like 10 to 12 hours, being just like, they treat you like robots. Keep pumping out. We need your output to get better. We need your numbers to get better. We need it quicker. We need it quicker. Then pulling you into a meeting, union busting, all of this. And then, like, just from a human level, then, like, you don't even have the ability to, like, go to a place with with a wall and ceiling. You're, like, in your car. That's got to be incredibly depressing, honestly.
It is, but at the same time, being involved with the Amazon Labor Union gives me the motivation and the purpose I need. Knowing how these people are being treated every day, knowing what I've seen and heard and experienced since 2017 in Jersey, it's not just one particular place. It's a widespread issue, and it's basically about treating your workers with some dignity and respect.